Participants. Journal sir, may we start? Good afternoon, Journal sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
May we start?
Yeah, we can start.
Dear participants, today we are very lucky that Professor J.U. Ahmed from NEHU join us, and the next session he will be delivering on the topic of financial management. Before that, I just want to introduce you, though he had a very big biodata, so I am not going to cover all the aspects of his biodata. Just I'm introducing him in a brief way that he had a teaching experience of approximately 30 years. It's though exactly it is more than 27 years. He has specialization in finance. He has published 12 books in that area, that is finance and management. At the same time, he is editor or in the editorial board of 10 journals, and that journals are national and international. He has published more than 100 papers in journals and knowledge-based books. Apart from these, he is winner of the 4 award. Out of that 4 award, one is very prestigious. That is FMBRC USA. He is also win the award of Bharatiya Jyoti Prakash in 2017, then Rashtriya Gaurav Award in 2011, and Best Young Faculty Award in 2017. With this, yes, one more, that is till now he has completed 4 projects financed by various organizations like ICSSR, UGC. With this, I'm introducing Professor J.U. Ahmed for this session to deliver financial management. So it's over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much coordinator of this refresher course. Sir,
Sir, if you adjust your mic little bit, okay, volume is little low, okay.
Now is it okay?
Yes. Now it's okay.
Yeah, Professor Bhattacharya Singh is there in the dean of the school at Mizoram University, and all the participants of this refresher course on this one, economics, management, and commerce. At the very outset, I would like to congratulate and I extend my thankfulness to the Mizoram University and the Department of Management and Commerce in general for undertaking this refresher course through Malavia Mission Teachers Training, this one, under this one of Mizoram University. It's a very good opportunity for the participants. I believe that the participants are from various colleges and universities and institutions teaching various courses, economics based, commerce based, and this one management based courses. And I will share, a few minutes on this particular subject as introduced by Dr. Vidukanti Das, who is a very good friend of mine, on financial management. And I shall try to accentuate my deliberation on the topic. Financial management is a vast area. All of you know, those who are from commerce and management, they know better, even for economics students too. As a student of management, I believe that everything cannot be covered. However, I will try my best to give an enlightenment on this issue, particularly on accentuation of accentuation on financial management, particularly with reference to the higher educational institution. So, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that finance is very important actually. In fact, the finance is so indispensable today that it is rightly said that it is the blood of any organization, whether it is a business organization or whether it is a university, educational institution, everywhere. Without finance, perhaps nothing can be done, proper budgeting cannot be done if there is no source at all. So no enterprise can possibly accomplish its objective, even the educational institution, without finance. So in this perspective, we can say that it is a term. Finance is a term known as, normally we call it science of money, scientific use of money, or in other words, in our own language, we may define that way. And the term for methods regarding the management, creation, and the study of money, investments, etc., or mobilizing of fund and channelizing of fund, all these are involved under the domain of finance. It involves the use of credit and debt, securities, the investment to finance project or any future project, future cash flows, etc. So because of this temporal aspect of finance, it is very much closely related to the time value of money, which is very important, crucial. To understand finance, it is very important, very crucial to understand the time value of money. Because a rupee receipt today is more valuable than that of rupee receipt tomorrow. Therefore, the how to handle and how to value the money, the finance, how to value the money is ultimately the term as finance. Added to this, interest rates are the attributes, another attributes in our financial sector. And unless we consider the interest rates, unless we consider the profitability aspect, the revenue that we will have from the business, unless we project all these things, perhaps understanding of the finance will go in a way. And therefore, finance is very crucial, and it is categorized into three important parts. One is public finance, that all of you know, economic student, and this one, management and commerce. Number two is corporate finance, and number three is personal finance. So these three important division of finance we need to understand in gist. As far as this first one, that is public finance, is concerned, we know that it includes the tax systems, the government expenditures, budget procedures, stabilization policies and instruments, debt issues, and other government concerns. Is normally we call in the literature, in the language of finance, we call the public finance. Coming to the corporate finance, I hope that I am audible. Any of the participants can tell whether you are hearing my voice. Whether I am audible. Can anybody speak? Dr. Vidukanti Das, are you there? Professor Singh is here. Professor Bartendu Singh is here. No, I the participants can tell, I think, or yes, system, I think. Yes, okay. I got the message that you are audible. I'm audible. Okay, thank you very much. Understood. Because there are some limitations in the online system. That's why I was thinking that whether. Anyway, coming to the corporate finance, the finance that involves the managing of assets, managing of liabilities, the revenues, debts, sources of fund, utilization of funds, all these things for a business venture or even for non-profit organization too, the, the way it is contributing towards the society, the amount that we invested, how it is contributing to the overall development, the environmental development, all these aspects will be considered under corporate finance. And while you use the word corporate finance, it is related to the business. And coming to the last one, that is personal finance, it may be treated like this. All the financial decisions and activities that we have by the each and every individuals or any household, including our budgeting, insurance, our mortgage planning, savings, our senior persons like retirement planning, all these things coming under the purview of this one, personal finance. Now, coming to the financial management, while we talk about the financial management, in GIST, it is an integral part of the general management, and it is concerned with the managerial decision making. Mainly, we manage finance. We study the financial management for practical decision making. It helps our allocation of the future financial requirement, also allocation of our resources properly, and also the examination, appraisal of the financial problems that we have in the organization. So while we talked about the financial management, it is a part of, we can say, the management activity, which is concerned with planning and controlling of the firm's the financial aspect, financial resources. See, management activity, while we talk about the management, our job as a leader of educational institution, as a head of the department, or as a faculty member, we need to manage. The main concept is management. And management will be useless unless there is along with planning, there will be a control mechanism. So planning and controlling are very much essential. And in order to evolve the planning and controlling in a better way, we need to have proper financial management. Therefore, in the broad area of management, the financial management is very much crucial, very much required. We have all other activities, all other things, but everything will go in vain unless we have the proper financial management. Since my topic, I am talking particularly with reference to the educational institution. Nowadays, all of we know that the finance is a major problem because the government funding day by day reducing, the state government or central government to the universities or the colleges. And as a result, it is a very, very challenging task before us that how to mobilize, how to get money, how to get funds to manage the institution. Present society, it is of more important. It is very significant. I mean, the role of financial management has been intensified due to the present trend of the self-financing courses, self-financing system of education, etc. So while we talk about this particular aspect, it is in GIST that It is a management activity, and without this, really, we cannot do the planning and controlling unless we have the planning and controlling in the right track, in the right manner. Perhaps it will be very difficult to manage the institution, manage the organization. Coming to the financial management, see, it means planning, organizing, planning of financial thing, financial attributes that we need to have, organizing of the same thing, directing and enterprise. How we will mobilize and how we will, utilize this fund, that particular thing is very essential. Therefore, it means applying of general management principles in general to the financial resources of an enterprise or of an organization is the main crux of this, financial management. It involves making sound financial decisions to maximize the value of the organization. Value of the organization will be maximized only when we will be in a position to do the appropriate financial management. So, as far as this financial management is concerned, there are, major objectives. The first important objective, why we do this exercise? What is the necessity of, this entire exercise? Of course, we have discussed in many positivities, and my colleagues who are attending, participants, colleagues who are attending, you all are also learned colleagues in any of the institutions you are teaching. Some of who I believe is having lots of experience in teaching. But then, main objective is to maximize the profit. Profit maximization is the main objective of financial management. Unless we maximize the profit, there shall be a balance. While we talk about the objective of financial management regarding the profit maximization and service to society, there shall be a balance. It's not like this that we will just maximize the profit of the organization. You have to have the accountability. We have to understand the responsibility towards the environment. We have to understand how my organization is impacting to the society. All these areas we need to understand. Number two is that while we talk about the objective, that proper mobilization. See, there are so many ways of mobilization. It's not a very simple thing. While listening, it's very simple. But while we talk about mobilization, we need to understand that which source of mobilization is profitable. Which one will be more, optimum, that we need to understand. And ultimately, if we have this concept of proper mobilization, that ultimately will reduce the risk of the business, risk of the organization that is associated with. And that way, we can increase the efficiency of the organization. We are working in many of the organizations, education and all, but unless we have a better result in terms of the quality education as well as in terms of the value-based education for quality product, those who are the youths that are imparting that getting their education, that our institutions are imparting, we need to have we need to think in this respect. And that way, the survival of the organization will be there, and a balanced structure will evolve, so it will contribute to at least to our national economy. So having understood the objectives, we need to see that how the financial management works. As far as this financial management working or modus operandi is concerned, the first one is that we need to estimate the capital requirements. because capital requirement, anywhere we got capital, is not a correct approach. There are some technical aspects, there are some, cost-effective aspect by which we can estimate our cost requirement. In my subsequent slides, I will try to give some hints that how we will estimate the capital requirement. What I mean at this stage is
Joanna,
that,
sir, just 1 minute, okay? Your slide share not took place.
yeah, Dr. will you do that? Hello.
Yes, your slides are not
Uh,
showing, so you may
so,
share.
there is no slide.
No, he's not
Oh,
having
okay.
slides, yes.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't have any slide. Okay.
Okay, then it's okay.
Okay. So the estimation of, thank you so much. Capital requirements while we talk, it's a little bit a technical term. Suppose we got maybe a certain amount, maybe 50 lakhs by way of getting a loan from the bank, or it is cash from somebody or from money lender, or by equity capital. It is not like this that by hook or by crook I will get 50 lakhs and I will do my what? I will start my institution or I will do my job or I may start some venture. It's not like this. How we will mobilize this entire capital requirement. That is one of the important aspect, one of the important area, in financial management. Amount will remain the same. It will be maybe 50 lakh, 50 lakh. Whether we take it to equity or whether we take from the bank loan or whether from our pocket, amount will be the same. But there are some justification, there are some technicalities for mobilizing this money that I will be speaking later. Now, make the so we can choose the accurate sources of fund. That is one aspect. Then, in respect of this scope, the planning, financial planning, which is again a very important aspect. See, developing a financial plan, setting the financial goal, and creating a proper budgeting to achieve this goal will depend on the proper forecasting and forecasting of the future financial needs of the organization and ensuring the availability of fund is one of the important, important scope for financial management. Without, proper financial planning, perhaps we cannot start our financial management. Number two is investment decision or investment budgeting thing that how we will do. See, while we talk about the investment decision, it is not again very easy job that we all know because we need to consider lots of projects, so many projects. Which project will be profitable and all we need to see. The evaluating of various investment opportunities that we have and making decisions on where organizations are, analyzing the risks from each of the projects and return of each of the projects that we have associated with need to be calculated in a proper way. Of course, there are so many ways of, calculating or understanding that whether the project will be profitable if invested in project A or if invested in project wherever. There are some standard guidelines that I am not going to talk. However, that particular aspect really give the students, give the analyst in a way, it provokes the thought process really, and it helps us to get some exact prediction. So here we may have, as I mentioned earlier, regarding the time value of money, that while considering the investment decision of any project, we need to perhaps analyze the time value of money, interest rates, etc. What will be the probable changes next year? What will be the probable rate in the third year? in the fourth year, fifth year, all these aspects normally considered while we take our investment decision. And there are some the commerce and management students, the teachers will know much better that there are some standard guidelines. But what my point is that in this respect, normally we at our institution level, at our classroom level, we used to train the students with some tools, with techniques that how to do. But making a critical understanding of this, investment decision is very important because there are the technique that we have, tools that we have for selecting whether a project will be accepted or rejected, whether it will be undertaken or not. That if we utilize one technique, the result may come that it will be accepted. In contrast, if we go by other technique, the result may come that it will be rejected. So it may contradict those. So how to mitigate this contradiction will be a major task before the finance manager, before a leader. Because in business venture, normally we have the finance experts are there. Even in the educational institution, we have our finance experts are there, finance officers are there. So all this risk, return, everything needs to be analyzed. Coming to the next particular the financing decision, which is the determining the capital structure of the organization. Capital structure in the line of the business, we find that mainly debt and equity, mix of debt and equity, raising of fund through different sources. While we talk about the business, now normally in business, while we talk about the big multinational corporation or the corporate sector, we understand that debt and equity are the major sources of capital. Debt means debenture or debt debenture or the loan from the bank you may think of, and then equity capital. But then, what shall be the composition of this debt and equity? I mentioned earlier regarding the sources of fund. What shall be the composition of the debt and equity in the capital structure? Need to understand, need to calculate properly, which is known as optimum capital structure. Unless there is a optimum capital structure in the organization, the return of the firm, return of the organization, return of the business will be hampered. Therefore, we need to see the optimum capital structure. How to do optimum capital structure, whether we will use entirely from the bank finance, whether we will start our venture from the bank finance or from any other source that need to be, seen. Observed experience of the world suggested us that if we take 10% loan, debt, capital, then the value of the firm cannot be maximized. If we take only capital structure, equity capital, only share capital, in that case also, we can say own capital. In that case also, value of the firm, value of the organization will be hampered. Therefore, we need to understand. So for just an example, let me tell you, is that the experience is that business world's experience is that if we use debt capital more, value of the firm will be more, value of the business will be more, return of the firm will be more. Does not mean that we will take 10% debt. If we take 10% debt again, there will be a problem. We have to use debt loan as much as we can, but not 10%. That philosophy, that orientation, we shall have in our brain. The next one is the capital budgeting that I discussed regarding the investment decision, that assessing the long-term investment projects and deciding which projects to be undertaken related to the investment. And in this connection, the financial feasibility and the potential, outcome, potential return of the investment opportunities will be clear. And one important aspect in financial management, again, in addition to this, is the working capital requirements. All my colleagues is knowing better that working capital is the capital that is required for day-to-day work of the business, operation of the business. Nowadays, importance of working capital diluted because of the online system of the because at any time, even if we have less amount of working capital in business, in the organization, we can. Earlier, while we got for some assignment to somewhere in the university or colleges, we used to get our PATA in cash, and then university or college need to keep a huge amount of money maybe in the finance section for payment of PATA, remuneration, this, that, honorarium, and all. But nowadays, due to online system, university may not keep, or college or business venture may not keep a significant amount in their itself for payment, because online system nowadays is very easy. It is also the working capital. The concept in financial management is somewhat diluted. However, the amount, we need to understand the amount need to be earmarked to meet the expenditure relating to the working capital, to meet the short term, I mean, requirements, and optimizing the cash flow, inventory management, account receivables, all this, because of all this aspect, the working capital management is very important. And there is no exception here, whether we talk about business or beyond business, this is equally important. Now, financial management, it plays a very crucial role in the aspect of efficient resource allocation. It helps allocating the financial resources to their most productive uses, which I mentioned, and it ensures that funds are directed towards the projects and investments that generate the highest returns. That will be possible only when we do the calculate the financial planning, investment decision, capital requirement, capital structure requirement, or the dividend is another important aspect. And if you consider this thing, then only efficient resource, allocation will be possible. And that way, we can, by making the informed financial, we can make the informed financial decision, and that way we can maximize ultimately the profit and ultimately the return outcome of the organization. And it also helps in assessing our or managing the risk, financial risks. Many of the organizations are going in a loss-making or not in a position to run, or they to run because of the risk factor associated with because it is very much required to in financial management to calculate the risk, to analyze the risk, the diversification, and also after analyzing how to diversify this particular risk. See, everywhere risk is associated. We cannot ignore it when there is risk. Where there is activity, there will be risk. Forget about financial management. Our job is to mitigate. Our job is to, dilute root out this particular aspect. To what extent we can mitigate this, we can, manage this aspect, that is doing well. And that way, it provides a crucial financial information and also the analysis of financial decision making. And And this decision making ultimately assists the evaluating and financial viability of various options. And then ultimately the growth and expansion of the organization. Effective financial management normally enables the organizations to grow and expand their operations. Because organization does not mean that whatever we have, whatever our system is there, that will remain forever like this. Unless there is growth and expansion for what we are doing. So it helps in securing the funds for expansion, acquiring the assets, and entering into the new markets. One area for one particular, I mean, aspect, you are considering one particular product, you are considering one particular course you are offering in your institution. Does not mean that it will be the same. Rather, we need to think of any other futuristic skill-based courses. Maybe while in business, maybe we think of product innovation or the other type of products that how to innovate. That mentality is very important, and proper financial management really helps the organization for both on an expansion of the activities, whatever the activities they involve. It will be more, I mean, effective. Now, coming to the next important point is that along with financial management, the budgeting is very important, because while we talk about the financial management in educational institution, here's my this particular, I mean, idea is to have some idea, throw some light on the educational institution. In financial, in educational institution, financial management, budgeting is very important. And effective financial management allows to develop and implement an effective budget and financial plan. Because whenever our basic thing, our foundation is okay, then only we can have a proper budget. And that helps in setting the financial goals, allocating the resources, and forecasting the future. So budgeting is very much closely related. It is one of the attributes. And that budgeting ensures that expenses are controlled, not at the cost of, not at the cost of doing the work that wanted to be done, not that. But budgeting shall ensure that the expenses are to be controlled, revenues to be maximized, and financial resources are to be utilized optimally. Coming to the education, financing education. See, education financing is of course, all of you will agree, that is a political and social decision-making process through which public revenues and other resources are collected and allocated to finance education and lifelong learning opportunities. So here the idea is little bit, well, compared with business, the corporate sector, idea is little different. It has to be controlled and allocated to finance education and lifelong learning. Therefore, of course, the agenda, the focus will certainly be different. It is concerned with translating public and government visions and goals for education and lifelong learning into financing sources, amounts, and ways of financing schools and educational institutions, colleges, universities. In the light of NEP 2020, we have to impart education to our educational institution with, and we have to impart with Indian outlook. with an international Indian tradition. We have to promote the Indian tradition with an international outlook. That is the priority. So that is the major agenda. I mean, promoting through education, promoting the Indian tradition. Because it's our proud, we are very much proud that we are Indians. Therefore, we need to promote our tradition with an international outlook. In order to make our Honorable Prime Minister once again telling that India will be the, Vishwaguru in education. Many other, visions are there because it's Bharat and all. So while making our financial management plan, we need to keep in mind to promote all these aspects. And financing really entails, particularly in educational institutions, the governance and public sector systems, legal frameworks, policies, mechanism, and administrative structures. Besides, our main agenda. So this governance factor we need to consider, public sector systems, legal framework, policies, need to consider various mechanisms in the forms of schemes and all. It also requires the governments to regulate, distribute, and allocate those resources. For example, directly to the colleges and educational institutions, sub-regional governments, and or authorities, and levels and types of, education. Moreover, distribution of these resources, financial resources, so different geographical areas, specific populations or specific groups or institutions, profoundly, significantly affects the equality of education opportunity. Therefore, the concept is more prominent in, education sector. And education is delivered in both public and private institutions that we own. And public investment is more important, even though our system nowadays is little otherwise, because sufficient amount here, there may not be, given, may not be sanctioned. So it is a global, therefore, we need to think on that perspective. It is not like this that always we will depend on somebody. Rather, internal resource generation, generating the internal resource is one of the important parameters in education, particularly for net ranking and all, NRIF ranking and net grading and all. These parameters they need to consider, because this particular aspect, that to what extent an institution is generating the internal resources, to what extent they are thinking for the long-term survival of the organization, that they used to think. It is not like this that for the sake of just looking into this parameter they are doing, but agenda is something far-reaching agenda, far-flung agenda, and with a view to fulfill this agenda, we need to have this particular aspect, because it is the education is global common good. It has a direct and indirect benefits for the society, for the individuals, for the families, economies, and to the society. Very crucial. Moreover, the benefits of lifelong learning are intergenerational. Value-based learning, creativity, all these things, holistic education. All these things, see, nowadays we are not just concentrating in one way learning. Rather, it is a multidisciplinary approach in this age. And the traditional understanding of bookish knowledge has gone. Many of our teachers used to teach from the books. I used to tell them that don't teach from the books. If you teach from the books and they will read again the book, it's a repetition. It is not teaching. To what extent we are provoking the student in the light of fulfilling our national agenda, our new education policy, because the traditional way of, delivering the lectures by looking the books, notes that need to be avoided. Otherwise, we are not doing anything for the cause of our girls, for the cause of our generation. So uh, the the lifelong learning is more important, and this is the one of the major tenets of new education policy. They reach to the present generation without jeopardizing the future generations. That we need to, I mean, understand. And for that, finance is the crucial. And education and learning are associated with human rights and freedoms. From human rights based approach, states have the obligation, the country have the obligations and responsibility to guarantee the realization of the right to education. It's the responsibility of our government, of our country. So free education reduces the cost of, education, cost of the institution, and removes the barriers to further education and prospects of the youth and adult life. Because we are doing really anything given is not good. And that cost really heavily in future. Securing these benefits requires commitment and long-term and predictable financing from the governments to collect the revenues and mobilize and regulate funding to provide education. Unfortunately, many of the countries face financing gaps, not only our country, that can affect a whole generation of children, whole generation of our youths because of the financing gaps. Because we are not in a position till now to evolve a system that whether 10%, entire requirement will be fulfilled by the government. We are thinking to what extent our internal resource mobilization will be possible, how we will generate the revenue, whether the government or by the university, by the colleges. So many things is there. There is no any prescribed, system, prescribed guideline in this respect. So financing education, whatever may be the case, financing education is generally challenging, and in many countries there is a need to increase the spending, particularly to achieve the national education. Government spending need to increase because you see even the NEP, whatever our agenda is that we need to increase the enrollment rate of the colleges and university double the enrollment rate. Now, if we want to make the double the enrollment of our institution, then we need to double the fund to be allocated by the government. That if we look the fund allocation, here it is not sufficient. Secondly, our institutional framework need to be doubled in order to make enrollment ratio double. Otherwise, where the students will sit, there is no place to sit. But yes, there is an option. NEP has given digital way of lecturing. Maybe students will not attend the class. They will be sitting at their home with a mobile and with a computer they are sitting. But there are problems. Connectivity issues are there. And somebody will connect in this one, Google Meet or a Zoom link, and he will sleep. Mobile will be listening the lectures, and he is not there. So that way learning will be affected. So lots of things are there, lots of issues are there in this respect, particularly to achieve our national education goal. There is also a growing demand to use limited resources efficiently, and there is a way to continue, of course, to improve it. So given all these limitations, we need to see what shall be the alternative to look in this aspect, in this perspective. While we see the, education financing or financial management of education, one important aspect that our skill develop in the light of skill development under the Ministry of Skill Development is the capacity building or capacity development. And many of the international agencies also in this respect are negotiating particularly in this. UNESCO, for example, supports the national and subnational educational authority in translating the education and lifelong learning vision into reality. And under this capacity development, it really offers the technical assistance and capacity development on education financing issues. Analyzing and reviewing the education sector and subsector financing framework, policies and practices, including the coordination and integration of financial financing across the various sectors and subsectors need to be examined in order to develop the capacity in respect of finance. And secondly, the monitoring and reviewing of expenditure in education, including early childhood care, education, adult education, learning, and digital learning. All these aspects need to be looked into. Unless we take care of all these aspects, as I mentioned earlier, that digital thing is not, till now, is not up to the mark. So our system cannot be just online, because our lots of villages are there, lots of areas are there, no connectivity or less connectivity or under connectivity. Some sentence we hear, even in our university too. Sometimes we listen, we attend some meeting, sometimes we listen, sometimes it happens. So coordinating and integrating the education budget into sectors and cross-sectoral financing is very much needed, and elaborating the resources projection, cost simulation, and financing scenario for developing self-financing national education sector plans and policies, including the mobilizing of alternative domestic and external resources, is very important. We only, what we do, we are working somewhere, we get our salary, and we come for teaching, we do this thing. And every day we are taking our food because we are getting salary. But we never think of that. If suppose fund is not sufficient enough, then for development of the capacity of the organization of the educational institution, what can be done? If not possible from the state, then maybe center or from the maybe international agency. That we never think of. Of course, the opportunity we need to explore. You see, opportunity, my dear friends, will never come to you. You need to explore. We always prefer to enjoy the opportunity. It's a very bad habit. This is my personal philosophy. I believe that we need to create the opportunity and then enjoy. But most of us, including myself, we normally used to blame that this is not there, that is not there. We never think of that opportunity, how the opportunity we will get. Lots of possibilities are there. We never calculate, and we never try for creating some opportunities so that our generation will be benefited, will be rewarded, and we will be a holy man. We never think of that. You teachers, myself, you people do maybe, but I never think of it. Because our life is so routine, so scheduled, we never feel about this. So if as a teacher, if I do not feel myself as a teacher, then how I will expect that I will contribute something for the cause of the nation? I will do something for the cause of the nation. Because once after a couple of years, everybody will go from this world. If we keep something for the cause of the education promotion, for the cause of our youth, then only this would be rewarded. That is what is my understanding. Coming to the finance for improving the education, developing countries are investing. Many of the developing countries are investing heavily in education and providing their youths with unprecedented levels of access to education. Until they reach to the top to the extent possible, they are doing that. They are having this type of mentality. But it's still not enough. Achieving national education goals will require additional financial commitment over the coming days. And no less important is ensuring that these resources are used effectively by reducing spending inefficiencies common in many education systems. That needless to speak, everyone is understanding that spending inefficiency is one important aspect in education sector in the institution. Funds may not be reaching to the place where it need to be reached. Spending decision may not be aligned with the learning objective. Spending decisions or spending trend may not be aligned with the learning objectives. It is happening in most of the places. And the government agencies may lack the capacity to use the funds efficiently. So countries need to resolve these problems if they are to provide the educational opportunities. Their populations demand is financial, then only this financial demand will be feasible and the system will be, sustainable. While we talk about the approach, how we will approach in this respect. See, mobilizing the additional resources for education and tackling the root cause of spending inefficiencies is not something that education system can solve on their own. System cannot solve it. It is our leaders, educational leaders, our teachers, our learned colleagues can. Our approach is to bring together multi-sectoral expertise to with engage with the departments, engage with the concerned ministry, and finance the stakeholders to develop and implement effective and efficient public financial management systems, and to build capacity to monitor and evaluate the education spending, and also identify the financing bottleneck that we have and develop interventions to strengthen financing system. See, understanding the intervention is not again a very easy job in the education sector, in the education sector. We need to understand that where to invest, what to do, what need to be done. That intervention, if we do not calculate properly, then the vision of the institution, the objective of the institution will not be fulfilled. So that way, evidence-based, the system trend need to be envisaged, considering the global spending patterns and the magnitude and causes of spending inefficiencies need to be identified, and a diagnostic tools as public goods to support the country need to be developed. Research and development culture are very much lacking. So research and culture for identifying the requirements, financing requirement, or the prospective requirements, skill-based and futuristic, courses, the programs of study, all these aspects need to be calculated. Now, in this respect, our priority will be to mobilize the adequate resources for education, as I mentioned. And that mobilization here, there are so many ways, there are so many, visible exercise we may have, so that the system will be sustainable. For example, regular public expenditure reviews may be one of the aspects wherein we may assess our overall fiscal position of our great nation and identify the ways to raise additional funding through government budget. And in this respect, the World Bank also are very much proactive and aims to assist the countries, particularly the developing, for exploring the innovative financing mechanism and the strategies to crowd in funds from government and non-government sources to address this type of issues. So the priority, that priority we need to think of, because unless there is a practical, address of this issue, issues are there, interventions are there. If the interventions that is in front of us and the issues that is in front of us not addressed in the right time, it's not a matter of joke. If not addressed in the right time, then we have to pay the price for that in future. We need to pay. We have to pay the price. Education policies and programs, everything is all right, but it's not like this that we can do something nonsense with education, particularly for financing. I'm not blaming any of the individuals, any government or any institution or anyone, but there shall be some practical and workable resolution so that the health of the educational institution be a vibrant one, productive one, so that our outcome and our youths will be a worthful product in the market, in the job market, or in creating the entrepreneurial venture, so that they will have a proper mindset. Because nowadays, government is facilitating for idea come and all, generating the idea to the Ministry of Skill Development and all, Ministry of Youth Affairs and all. But then see, here also, in order to accomplish this task of molding the generation on the right track, right line, here also at least minimum funding to be there. It's not like this that always internal generation, internal mobilization of fund, internally everything to be done. It may not be possible to a certain extent unless there are some modus operandi of self-financing for private institutions, and for lots of private institutions, of course, they are doing. But most of them, of course, they have their external source of financing, maybe from the international agency or from the some banks and other sources, various institutions. And that way, it will promote the equitable resources. Public spending in education is sometimes allocated in ways that exclude poor and marginalized children, marginalized group of the society. And evidence from many of the countries shows that public education expenditure can often favor wealthier and more powerful groups, of course, because public, funding always will be more beneficial. This difference in finding not only result in the students and poorer families receiving a lower quality education, but also the perpetuate the existing inequalities among the various socio-economic groups of our great nation. And we also work with governments to ensure that education services we need to work with, whichever are affordable, and to support families through social protection program to overcome the financial barriers associated with our students or with our organization. Coming to the execution part, see, according to a recent report, public financial management system often struggle where it matters most of the efficient service delivery, budget execution, etc. They face the problem. And more than two-thirds of the government struggle to maintain the planned composition of their expenditure for the fiscal year. Many of the government. And this affects most of the sectors, especially sectors focusing on service delivery, like the education sector. And that way, understanding the budget execution of the financial requirement is important, as underspending and overspending both of the allocated budget can indicate broader challenge in increasing the inefficiency of the delivery services, I mean education delivery. Because both way, it shall not be underspending, but it shall not be overspending. So that we need to think. Fund release delays in most of the cases, complex financial management requirements between the various levels, timely reallocation of funds between budget lines if needed, ineffective teacher deployment, and also ineffective procurement process to name are the major challenges. Because if we do not consider these factors, that timely reallocation of funds and also if the ineffective procurement process is there, then ultimately there are some time limit for procurement and all. There are some systems that we will not discuss here. The time already gone. Maybe in many institutions, we find that we are not in a position to expense their required amount because of the time bar, maybe March or maybe December financial year, maybe February. All these things are there. March expenditure need to be closed. But then, since the procurement process is problem late, so as a result, if we cannot furnish the appropriate information bills and all in the time, then ultimately the money will be less. And lots of examples are there in the system that many of the fund, much of the fund, I mean, a notable amount of many of the institutions of the return bank due to not utilized. It happens. And as a result, educational institutions are suffering. Many of the institutions are suffering like anything. I have the example also. Many of the institutions, I find that because of this intricacy, because of this problem, they are not in a position to, they are not in a position to start their various programs or courses because they did not expense the money on the right time, maybe for infrastructure, building and all. Did not due to the negligence or administrative failure or leadership problem. Again, here you see one is very much associated with leadership really matter. Because of boss, sometimes we really enjoy to work, if I am not wrong. And because of boss, sometimes we never like to come to the university, or never like to come to the colleges, it happens. So all these things are very much crucial. Now, process, while we talk about the process of, budgeting in the educational institution, having understood that the necessity of funding, necessity of budgeting in the educational institution, there must be some process. The first step is to review. See, when we review the past performance of the previous budget of the institution, it can reveal a lot for our institution. We can see how accurate were the past budget and where any overspending occurred, where any underspending occurred. All this we can experiment. And with these questions in mind, we can shape the current college budget or current university budget can increase it accurately. The first important thing, classic thing is the review. Can you allow me 1 minute? Professor Singh is here.
Yes, sir.
Acha, 1 minute break, 1 minute or 2 minutes.
Okay, okay,
If
sir.
you kindly allow me.
Yeah, sure, sir, sure, sir. Professor Ahmad will be joining very soon, so be just wait for 2 minutes and he will be joining.
Sir, I have come back.
Yeah, welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Actually, sir, one signature was there, so I.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So, my dear participants, I was discussing about the process that we need to have in the educational institution, particularly for budgeting. So, first one, I discussed that we need to review the past budgets, previous budgets, so that to understand whether it was overspending or underspending or whatever required to be done accurately or not. Lots of things is there because we do not have any, professional, very much professional experts, financial analysts in the university system or in the college system. Therefore, the section or the department of the college need to have this thing. And because we shall not forget to look at the cost base as well at the same time. It can give us a foundation to build our current budget so that it will be more prompt for expenditure and review. So by when working with this similar institutions, we can understand that what we can do for the future. So after this review, we second stage is that we need to do plan for budgeting. After gathering this historical data, historical information, previous experiences, considering our, staff's accommodation resource needs of the following years, and the areas, we need to calculate the areas where need to intervene. These steps should not be one step process. It takes time. And we have to do in a way, meticulous way. If we want to be a visionary man, unless whether we are a teacher or leader or administrator, whoever may be, unless we have a vision, then we really cannot do anything. Even we cannot be a good teacher also if we are not having some vision in our mind. If we want to be accurate, we should consider the critical understanding or critical data on the aspects of changes that happened in our earlier funding, such as revenue, capital, income, etc. The class and group sizes, number of students, staffing staff requirements, staff profile, procurement and maintenance, the long-term development of the institution, like asset management, staffs, IT-related thing, best practices, all the aspects, all the major parameters for an institution need to be calculated. It shall not be one-sided. And whichever is required for the national level ranking, the mostly parameters, even the research culture of the colleges, of the university need to be promoted. Unless good researchers are there, because it is one of the very important parameter. The researcher perhaps actually diagnose. I'm not going on that particular aspect, but for that, of course, need to earmark some of the budget to inspire maybe, to motivate maybe. Otherwise, institutions' objectives will not be fulfilled. And the third important step in the process of budgeting for educational institutions is forecasting. On the basis of the earlier discussion, first two steps, we need to be a best guess. Unless we are a teacher supposed to be a very, very good, predictor, is a very good man who can guess, everything. That intelligentsia we shall have, we need to have. That, and it can be difficult to predict changes in many aspects. But then quantifying these particular aspects is the main job before us. And also the various factors associated with these particular aspects while we think of the forecasting. One is the curriculum changes, structure, likely staffs, likely requirements of manpower, the aim of the institution, institutional long-term agenda. All these factors will come under the under forecasting. Then coming to the best practices, before we can prepare the budget, that is the fifth step, we need to have a solid foundation. And best practices can help us to get the right track of our institution. Like, for example, create a budget calendar under this step. If we want to develop an educational budget, we need to prepare budget calendar. Maybe 3 months, 2 months like this. We will want to build the calendar day working backward. Use the budget calendar to serve as an index for tracking our developmental process. And that is one of the examples that to create a budget calendar. Also, need to start early. It is always very essential. I feel it is very essential to start the thing very early, because delay process is one of the attributes by which many of the institutions are in a way facing the problem, because of the delay practice of doing the thing, maybe procurement, whatever may be. When we need to remember that staffing will never be a constant throughout the year, since there will be retirement, since there will be lateral movements, leaves, many other things, termination, resignation, all these issues are there. So considering all these things, if we plan something meticulously to get the thing done, ultimate objective is to get the thing done, then only thing will be more fruitful. And also the projection in under the best practices, one of the most significant expenditure benefits. Whatever need to be given, best practices, maybe in respect of health insurance, maybe in respect of awarding some of the teachers some token money for their Scopus publication or this one UGC care publication, good publication. That are the best practices, and many of the institutions are following that type of thing, and many are not. Then rank line items that makes the budgeting process more efficient. During the budget development calendar, many of the stakeholders are making requests and making cuts in the part of the process. When we require budget development stakeholders to enter their requests, we can grant or make cuts without engaging a back or forth conversion. Back or forth conversion we do not do. By prioritizing our cuts, we can accommodate our needs without going back to everyone for their inputs. So these are the important lacunas of this particular aspect. So my time is also coming to an end. Maybe another resource person is waiting. So all these important aspect, need to consider whatever in the general management, concept, general management activity. In financial management also, we need to, manage the entire mobilization, channelization of fund in respect of our educational institution. Of course, financial management concept is not, totally whatever in total, whatever are there in the business and all may not be relevant. All these things because the profit organization and non-profit organization will be different. But then, trend nowadays is that we need to think of ourselves. Earlier, people used to think that my college is a government college. It is the government's college, not my college. The concept, or it is not my university. It is the state government or central government's university. It is not my university. Now, concept is that we have to think that way that yes, my university. All of you. I am not telling that I am the owner of the university. I am not telling them. I am not telling that you people be owner. But to what extent we develop this mindset that this is my organization, my institution. So I have to think of that even if I take money from the government, how much, how far this will be productive for fulfilling for our youths, for our, building our youths based on the changing priority of the society and also the fulfilling the national agenda that we need to see. So with this, a few words, I will not prolong anymore because my time is also going to over. I would like to conclude here. Once again, I extend my thankfulness to Professor Bhartendu Singh, Dean of the school at Mizoram University, who is very good friend of mine since far earlier. During 2006-7, we used to work together for seminar, conferences and all. And also Dr. Vidhukanti Das, who is not here now. We are very grateful to you and also the Malavia Mission Teachers Training Center of Mizoram University for giving me this opportunity to interact with the participants. And most importantly, I extend thankfulness to the participants for your patience hearing and for your attendance. Physically, we could not meet. Interaction would be more meaningful if we talk direct. The online system has some limitation. So anyway, I hope that we will meet sometime somewhere. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sir, it
Yes.
will be good if you take 2 more minutes and take up some questions
Okay, sir.
that participants have put for you.
Yes, sir. Sure.
If you see in Q&A box, some 4 or 5 questions are there. Should I read it for you or?
Yes, sir. I am also looking.
Okay.
in the chat box, a question is there.
Yeah, not chat. Q&A.
Okay.
It must be below, sir. Below, lower side, middle of the
Yeah.
lower.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes.
Yeah, one question I have seen that Mr. Subhashish Mishra raised in many countries, expenditure on education and research as a percentage of GDP is more in comparison to India. Correct. Should increase India's expenditure on education and research to improve its quality. Certainly, because in my deliberation also partly I commented on this one. I cannot have right to comment, however. Our education budget, whatever given as per NEP 2020, on the one hand, budget figure is there, and on the other hand, whatever requirement of the policy is very good. Multidisciplinary approach, holistic education, and all these things is there. We have to impart education Indian tradition, but then we need to make the double the enrollment ratio, and also our institutional framework are not sufficient enough. We have calculated that if we want to make the enrollment ratio double, then we need to increase our institution. And for that, till 2035, if we start one university in a week, then only enrollment ratio will be double. We have calculated that under the NEP, this one, if we read, we find that now who will bear this expenditure of starting these universities and colleges? So, of course, your question is very valid that the expenditure need to be increased. At the same time, we have to understand the various means, government rules and regulations we have to understand. Nowadays, you see, HEFA loan is there. The government is insisting to take money from the HEFA, Higher Education Financing Loan, which is a joint venture of the Ministry of Education as well as joint funding by the government ministry, education ministry, and some one bank. Now that also we need to understand what are the various opportunities or system government is offering. That way we need to see. If we take HEFA loan, we need to pay 10% return for infrastructure development and university infrastructure or college infrastructure, etc. So what my point is that the expenditure in the government, I mean, for funding the educational institutions need to increase to improve the quality, considering the various aspects. Because this is not education is not a thing that is least priority. It is the main important attribute for lifting our society, for molding our youths in the right line. Next, I am seeing another one, Mr. Kuheli Mukhopadhyay. Effective financial management requires financial autonomy, which in turn has its own challenges like tuition fees, accountability issues, etc. In your opinion, what will be the kind of appropriate policy intervention required to mitigate the potential drawbacks? Of course, you see not only this particular aspect, in all aspect, I told also earlier that we as an administrator or as a leader or as a teacher, we shall understand the intervention, where we need to intervene. We are not laymen. We have to apply our reasoning. And once, because here we have the challenges like tuition fees, accountability issues, etc. So policy in understanding the intervention. Here, of course, policy intervention is required, but in the while making the policy intervention, of course, we cannot think one way. We need to consider many aspects of our economy of our great nation. Then next, I am seeing how can an institution raise revenue without putting a burden on its students and without compromising the accounting standard, academic standard. this is a very vital question, and I discussed this particular thing. An institution can raise the revenue without putting the burden on its student. There shall not be any burden to the students. On the one hand, in many of the government are talking about the free education, and on the other hand, the the students are burdened. So that some tactical strategy need to be evolved here, and for that, of course, some policy prescription is required. Some system need to be evolved that for higher education financing, for education financing, without putting a burden. Students shall not be a sufferer. Affordable. In the NEP 2020 also it is mentioned that affordable education, so that the students will be comfortable to afford without compromising the academic standard. So that aspect need to be, taken care of course, with many ways like internal resource generation, uh, uh, in many of the things. Then maybe initiative by the big uh, businesses, corporate houses, etc. Then another thing again, Subhash Mishra, how lower middle class households should manage their finance to cope up with the rising price level. Of course, that is the thing. That is of course altogether a different way of looking the thing, because how the household will manage their, I mean, requirement for the children, education of the children and all, and how they will cope up with the uh, rising price level. Our aspect is to understand the financial management and budgeting system that we need to have in the educational institution. Of course, these are the other issues need to be, thought in this particular aspect need to be taken care of. That educational institution maybe one approach, one important approach, maybe that some adoption of some section of the people, poorer section of the people, poor households. Maybe that system is also there in the NEP 2020. So that way maybe can be managed. But at the same time, we cannot, just give them without anything that they will impart, they will take their education and all that cannot be done. Then Sachin Howard. So please share your view on virtual organization as a budget-friendly tool for enterprise. Virtual organization, what do you mean by virtual organization? Maybe you are talking about, if I correctly understand, that virtual organization. Sir Singh, can you tell virtual organization?
So this question is not very clear. Virtual organization and budget-friendly tools.
Tools
So,
for budget-friendly.
question is not very clear, sir. So we may leave it.
Maybe scholar wanted to tell that in the system of virtual education, maybe online
Maybe
mode,
virtual education.
online mode of learning,
Hmm.
that of course it can be inspired in the context of implementing the NEP 2020, in the line of implementation of NEP 2020, since our government, both at the center at the state level, are insisting to have our digital learning, online learning, and all. There, some initiative may be taken. However, we have to look this particular aspect, that connectivity online. While we talk about the online, of course it is required, but at the same time it is not very easy. We have to see our connectivity issues, our other factors associated with. So that is the thing anyway, what I understood. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You have taken up all those questions.
I think I'm so sorry. Other resource person may be waiting. Sir is there.
Yes. Yeah, next resource person already joined. He is Professor Narayan Reddy Poli. And sir, he is Professor J.U. Ahmed from Northeastern Hill University.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Very good afternoon. How are you
Good
all
afternoon.
doing?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Very
Nice meeting you. Unfortunately, here, so I
okay. Good. Then we are
yeah.